Brian, can you turn me down there? Brian's got the master controls, I think. He just wants to turn off my volume all the time. Welcome, everybody. Glad you could be out here this evening. We'll have 2 meetings this evening. First, we'll kick off with a public hearing, and then we'll close that meeting and we'll go into our work session. For those of you that are new or even have been here during COVID times, we've done things somewhat differently, but we're back to normal procedures. We will have the public hearing, which will simply be the public hearing. Am I doing something wrong? No? Oh, that's okay. I'm very loud. You probably don't even need that thing. So we'll have the public hearing, and then these items that are on the public hearing will roll down to the work session agenda, where the council will be at liberty to ask questions of the applicant and or the staff. So with that, we're breaking new ground here this evening. Our city clerk is taking us into the next the next phase, where now I'm reading these off my computer screen, which I haven't done in the past. So if I mess it up, it's Emmy's fault.
Does anybody need the rules?
We have the rules. I'll read them to you, though. The rules of order for public hearing, zoning matters, City Code Section 280-2. The hearing shall be presided over by the mayor. After calling the hearing to order, the mayor shall request that the parcels of property which are the subject of the zoning proposal be identified and read. Following such identification and reading, the development director's recommendation shall be presented. The mayor and city council shall then cause the director's written recommendation to be made part of the record. Proponents of each proposed zoning decision shall then be allowed a total of 10 minutes for presentation of data, evidence, and opinion concerning the zoning decision. If all 10 minutes are not used, the proponent's remaining time may be reserved for rebuttal. Opponents of each proposed zoning decision shall then be allowed a total of 10 minutes for presentation of data, evidence, and opinion concerning each zoning decision. The presentation times may not be reduced, but may be extended by majority vote, provided they are expended equally for proponents and opponents. Anyone wishing to speak must come to the microphone and give their name and address to the city clerk. Do not speak unless you have the microphone and have been recognized. My favorite part. Call the meeting to order. Do not try that at home. All right, so first item under public hearing, we have PZ 2021-794, which is 4783 Peachtree Road, also known as Grapes and Grains variances.
Thank you, Mayor. Andrew Russell, Deputy Planning and Development Director, filling in for the Planning and Development Director tonight. So this application is for 2 variances at 4783 Peachtree Road, just under an acre lot, zoned Village Commercial BC. The proposed development or redevelopment of an existing building is for a beer, wine, and liquor store with a curbside pickup. The building is currently being renovated under a building permit that was issued in 2019 to the property owner, who had applied to white box it. During that, an end user was identified and has applied to revise the building permit, or for a new building permit for Grapes and Grain. So the 2 variances, the first is to install a roof sign. For the sign ordinance, roof signs are prohibited in the city. And the second is to reduce the required amount of fenestration from 65% to 16% on the street-facing facade, facing a boulevard street, which Peachtree Road is in this location. So here is the property. Adjacent to the barbecue restaurant, which is to the northeast, and to the southwest, a self-storage facility. It backs up to MARTA and Railroad. Here is a rendering of the roof sign. Worth pointing out that the sign is proposed to go atop of the lowest parapet roof. There is a higher parapet roof, which is approximately 11.5 feet taller than the lower portion and forms an L around the lower portion. So the existing fenestration is shown above, and below is the proposed fenestration. I think it is worth pointing out here that what is existing now has less fenestration than what was originally there before the initial building permit was issued. The applicant has demoed some fenestration, and staff had approved but not issued an administrative variance to reduce the fenestration by 10%. the applicant now requests a much lower amount of fenestration, 16%, which is shown below. Here's some pictures taken last week. Based on the review and approval criteria, staff recommends approval of the variance for the roof sign with the conditions shown here and in your packet, and recommends denial of the variance request to reduce the fenestration from 65% to 15%. That's all.
Great, thank you. John, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Very good. Then we'll go to the public hearing portion. Anyone wishing to speak in favor, please come to the microphone. Identify yourself to the city clerk, your name, address, and if you're related to the project, house. So we'll have 10 minutes for this portion.
Sure. Hi, my name is Ty Dealey. I've had the pleasure of either meeting many of you in person or on the phone, so I appreciate you guys' attention to the matter. Again, I'm Ty Dealey. Who am I talking to?
Just us. You're
oh,
talking,
okay.
The city clerk just needs to take down your
So
name.
I am the owner, the principal owner of Grapes and Grains. This will be our second store. We have one in Johns Creek currently, and we're looking to expand here in Chamblee. Very excited about being part of the community. They got a limited amount of time. I want to thank the staff, especially on the signage side. You know, one of the things that we needed to do, given the uniqueness of this building, we didn't have a lot of space to put a sign. And candidly, after seeing y'all's city sign, it really made me want to do kind of the same thing. I love the architectural look for it, and I thought it'd be a great fit for us, and it would really make our store more of a landmark for things on Peachtree Road. And so I appreciate the attention there, and thank you for that. We have Sam Fleet, who's with Clayton Signs. She's here to address any technical questions or spec issues or whatever you may have during the work session about the signage, but I do appreciate that. On the fenestration side, just a couple of points that we wanted to make and really why we were requesting the variance. I do understand that the current variance, the current fenestration percentage is lower than what is typically required, especially after we reduce that the front section of that building used to have a vestibule. It should be pointed out also that I believe as part of the parking lot changes that we need for the parking spaces and the GDOT right-of-way requirements to the front of the building, we needed to move those parking spaces anyway closer to the building, so that section with the vestibule with the glass that was taken out would have probably been required to be taken out anyway, or at least it would have been made very difficult for us to have in the front of the store, you know, as it is. So with that said, there's two reasons why we really do need to have this variance for our store. The first one, as I've mentioned to some in the past, was, you know, we have a perishable product. We sell wine, beer, spirits, and that front section of the store where that window is actually the widest and the largest shelf space that we have inside of that store, and any direct light to our products does cause damage and creates an issue for that. So that's the first thing. The other issue, and really primarily more important, is the safety aspect of it. Having 40 feet plus of window in the front with product in that window that people can see, it just invites damage to the store. It invites a security issue to it. I've been involved with friends that have had their stores actually had cars driven through the front of the store in order to break in and take product. We obviously don't want that to happen. The other thing is that it's very simple just to throw a brick, throw something through the window, cause any kind of problems, reach and grab and take anything. And it may seem like a small amount, but it ends up in hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage to our store if ultimately, you know, that happens. So the security is a huge issue for us from an operational standpoint, and why we're looking to just reduce the bottom portion. If you look at that picture, that shows the left side of the building. As I said, we're only looking at the first 10 feet. The top part of the windows will stay. The front of the building will fit in with the white stucco. We think it'll be very aesthetically pleasing. The landscaping that'll be done in the front of the building will be very looking. It'll be appealing from the road. And again, it's one of the things that we are trying to do at our store. We try and make, I was saying inside the store that I want to be the non-liquor liquor store. You know, there's a connotation, I think, to having a liquor store, and I actually try and get away from that vernacular whenever we're bringing people and seeing the location, that we want it to be a place that the community's proud of, our customers are proud, they want to spend time in there, they're not afraid, you know, to go in, they don't want bars on the windows, you know, and that's frankly the only option that we would have if we didn't take those windows out of the front, is to put bars across the front. It's definitely not something that fits with our business model, and I'm pretty sure it's not something that the city would love to have. There are residents driving by that store, and seeing that. So for now, that's really, all I have, and that's the main request for us on that side.
Great, thanks, sir. Appreciate it. We still have a little over 5 minutes. If anyone else wishes to speak in favor, please come up, tell us who you are.
My name is Mark Buchanan. I represent the landlord, Greenleaf Investment Partners. I'm the chief of staff for us, so I'm simply here in support of Ty. After meeting with Ty several times, we understand the need, his 2 points that he presented for security and for the sake of his product. So I just come up to echo that in support of him. Like you said, safety. Glass is very easy to break through, much more difficult than stucco, brick, any type of cinder, any type of cement. So for those 2 points that he brought up, I just come up to echo those.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else wish to speak in favor? Very good. Is there anyone wish to speak in opposition? No. All right, I will remind everybody this will roll down onto our work session agenda, and the council may have some questions. The next item then is PZ 2021-797, which is 1868 Dyer Circle. There's a stream buffer variance.
Thank you, Mayor. So the applicant has applied for a variance to encroach into the city's 75-foot stream buffer and very slightly into the 50-foot on a residential property zoned in R1. It's about a 0.4 acre lot, and it is for an uncovered wooden deck with a wooden staircase built in the backyard. Code enforcement observed the contractor near completion of the deck and issued a stop work order. So this is to bring the request is to bring the existing structure into compliance. It increases the impervious surface area on the lot by just under 200 square feet, from 15% to 16%. So here is the lot on the southwest bend of Dyer Circle. It is not a corner lot by definition, since it's not the intersection of two streets, although it does appear to be. The deck is considered to be in the rear, since the house faces to the west on Dyer Circle. Here are the stream buffers. Here is the footprint of the deck shown in red. Here's the structure itself, and a picture of the English highly covered stream area. So staff recommends approval of this variance request with the exhibits and conditions stated, one of which I'll point out is the installation of a stormwater BMP area that would be greater or equal to the proposed encroachment of the said driveway, I should say, deck. That's it. Thank you.
Great, thanks. All right, anything? All right, very good. Anyone wishing to speak in favor, please come up to the microphone and give us your name and address, and if you're related to the project, let us know how.
Hi, my name is Will Dillard. I live at 1868 Dyer Circle. We're the applicants for the stream buffer variance request. Ultimately, we were trying to build a deck that would connect our house to our fenced-in backyard for our dog. Unfortunately, we didn't see the stream buffer when we were trying to construct the deck originally. If you look, and I think we have some pictures in our slides, but from the backyard, you really can't see a stream because there's so much vegetation. Actually, on the very next page. Yeah, so that's kind of the view from the backyard. And when we did find out there was a stream, we looked at the survey afterwards and went out and saw, there's very little water in the stream to actually, cause that. But, we didn't go through the process. We didn't realize what we had done, and we're sorry about that, for constructing it without the proper approval. But yeah, I think that it would definitely improve our quality of life, and it would make it a lot easier to let the dog outside and enjoy the property. So again, sorry about constructing it, but we weren't sure that it was there when we were doing it. So
very good. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in favor? No. Anyone wish to speak in opposition? No. I will say it rained hard enough earlier that I'm sure somebody considered the gutter in front of my house a stream. So
Yeah, it's probably more visible today than.
yeah, it's sometimes I think it's crazy, but that's just me. All right, moving right along. The next item on the agenda is PZ 2021-804, which is 3193 Clairwood Terrace, also a stream buffer variance.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a variance to encroach into the 7.5 foot side yard setback on an NR1 zone lot. It's about a third of an acre for a renovation in addition to a detached garage. The proposed project is to remodel the first story of this garage and to add an in-wall suite accessory dwelling unit to the top portion. It would be around 753 square feet, or exactly 753 square feet of conditioned space for the parents of one of the residents of the primary structure. And it is currently considered a accessory structure. However, the applicant proposes to connect the structure to the house with a new breezeway. Per code, that would make it then part of the primary structure. So the accessory structure setback is only 5 feet. It currently does encroach into that 5 foot setback by a half foot. However, by connecting it to the house, the setback becomes 7.5 feet. So the request is to reduce that setback by 3 feet. So here's the lot, Clairwood Terrace, street located just off of New Peachtree Road, as you know, just to the west of Claremont. Here's the survey, and the lot line in the vicinity of the detached garage is not right on the fence. It's actually about a foot and a half or so, or 2 feet behind the fence. So you can see the breezeway shown in green that would connect the garage to the house. There's a image of what the garage would look like. Floor plans. So, applying the review and approval criteria, staff recommends approval of the variance request with the exhibits and conditions in the packet. That's all.
Very good, thank you. All right, anyone who wishes to speak in favor, please come up to the microphone. We'll have 10 minutes for this portion. Anyone? Bueller?
Hi, my name is Megan Lowry. I am the resident of 3193 Clairwood Terrace. We're wanting to use the existing structure for the second story, so when my family comes to visit, they can stay with us. Sorry. We just want to be able to have everybody at our home for holidays, whereas right now we can't. So, please approve. That's all I got.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. Anyone else wish to speak in favor? Anyone wish to speak in opposition? No? All right, like I said, this will come up a little later, maybe questions. Next item is PZ 2021-805, which is 3174 Chamblee Dunwoody Road. It's a streetscape variance.
Thank you, Mayor. Get better at that. So, this property will be familiar to Mayor and City Council. There was an application that came before Council last month for a use in the supplemental use regulations in the primary currently built out portion of the convenience store at 3174 Chamblee Dunwoody Road. There is a portion of that building that was left unbuilt out when the applicant for the convenience store built it out. The permit was pulled starting about 2 years ago. It was built out last year, and they were notified that the redevelopment assessment form, redevelopment assessment thresholds apply over a 3-year period. So now that this applicant has come in to build out the remaining portion of that store, the second tenant suite, the requirement to install the streetscape has been triggered by exceeding the 30% threshold. So just wanted to point that out. 0.8 acre lots on corridor commercial. So remodel that tenant suite for the laundromat. Chevy Dunley Road in this location is a secondary street which requires a 5-foot wide landscape zone and a 10-foot wide sidewalk. In order for this building permit to be issued, the applicant has to submit the plans, a development plan showing that they'll install the streetscape, or obtain a variance, or amend the scope of the plan so that they don't exceed the 30% threshold. So there's a variance request. Here is the lot. We're pointing out the Woodgate Apartments, very large growing apartment complex located along the west lot line, to the west and to the south of the property. Here's a survey of the existing property, and it's easier to see on the pictures than the survey, but there is a 2-foot wide, GDOT may call it a beauty strip. It's just pavers, red stamped concrete or pavers at the back of the curb, and then an 8-foot sidewalk here that terminates at a granite block wall, and the lot line is right behind the wall where the yellow bollards are located. Currently, the sidewalk is encroached by one street light, a telephone pole, and a guy wire that runs parallel with the sidewalk. One thing to point out, topographical, difficult topography is one of the criteria for reviewing a variance request. Staff on its site visits and looking at this did correspond with the applicant, find that putting in the streetscape would mean demoing that wall, moving the wall back, losing parking spaces in the front, creating a parking deficiency issue. Even the way that the applicant was proposing to restripe with the 3 spaces that would be parallel spaces right behind those bollards. So I want to point that out, and also right here at this, on the left, we would call this the primary curb cut. It's a full ingress and egress curb cut on the left, and on the right is a secondary curb cut. Thank you, John. And on the right, this is an ingress only one-way curb cut. You'll notice there's no chain and no bollards there. Google imagery going back to 2008, there had been a chain, there had been bollards there. That ended sometime after October 2019. We believe it was either earlier this year or late last year. I want to point out as it relates to one condition. So go into the condition. So staff does recommend approval of this based on topographical criteria. And the condition would be that the applicant shall reinstall at the applicant's expense the permanent bollards behind the existing sidewalk at that westernmost one-way curb cut and permanently close it off. And then it goes on. And here is the most recent Google Street imagery that that staff found from October 19. So thank you, Mayor. That's all.
Great, thanks. John, anything? All right, anyone wishing to speak in favor, please come up to the microphone and let us know who you are.
Hello, sir. My name is Rafi Jabroni. I am Ms. Khosha Lalani's son-in-law, and I manage a business. I appreciate when the staff recommends it for approval, and the recommendation which was given that I need to close off one point of entry into the property, which I'm not comfortable. The reason why is because that's the point where the garbage, the garbage services, they would enter it, they would go straight right back where the dumpster area is, pick up it, and turn around and come out on the other side. Right now, if they're coming from the other only single point of entry and exit, it's going to be really difficult for them to turn around and pull back, pick up the dumpster, pull back, and go out from the each one single point. That's one thing. Second thing it is, if there are cars entering the property and exiting the property with only one entry exit, right, it's going to be commercial. So whoever wants to come in from the other side of Dunwoody, Chamblee Dunwoody, and turn into the property, they have to block the whole traffic light. You know, they have to block the traffic behind. So it's going to be a lot of confusion for traffic to be in and out. Might cause accidents within the parking lot. Somebody wants to come in, somebody wants to go out, right? So it's kind of, I mean, it's a laundromat, which beautification, yes, 5 feet of landscaping is something we all want to see, but I don't think an entry exit point is something which is going to be solving the 5 feet of landscaping. If you want me to do some beautification, I have another section area where I can put up some plants or something like that. If we see the drawings, I mean the picture, there's another side where you single entry point. There's a little bit of grassy area. We can do some kind of plantation out there for it to beautify. But putting up bollard poles, you know, there's a tree which is right there. You know, I mean, you know, something like that we can do so we can beautify it. But putting out that bollard poles is not solving the purpose of 5 feet landscaping. This is no comparison. I mean, yeah, it's going to hurt the business. 100% it's going to hurt the traffic too. You know, I mean, there might be issues with people coming in and out. So, I mean, that's my suggestion. I mean, rest y'all are the better judge to decide what is better for the city. But my whole thing would be, if I need to put in some kind of grass, you know, in that corner, or put some pots out there to beautify, yeah, surely I would definitely do that, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor? No. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the variance requests? Very good. All right, moving right along. Next item is PZ 2021-806, which is 3640 Keswick Drive, stream buffer variance. Did we have a sale on stream buffer variances or something? Good to know.
Thank you, Mayor. So the applicant has requested a stream buffer to encroach into the city's 50 and 75 foot stream buffer on this property located on the west side of Keswick Drive, south of Donaldson, and north of the intersection of Hamlin. It's zoned NR1. It's a 0.43 acre lot. The applicant proposes to use the existing house and foundation, add a second story, and there would be a cantilevered addition, which would be in the rear. The stream is located in the rear yard. The existing carport would be removed, and a new two-car garage would be constructed. The existing wood deck in the rear of the house will be rebuilt. So here's the request. Here's the lot. We're noting this is an original home to this lot, lower profile one-story home with a built when the neighborhood was platted in the 1950s. So there's the stream in blue, the state 25 stream buffer, 50 and 75 foot. As you can see, the home was built in well into the 50-foot stream buffer with some of the deck and piers of the deck in the state 25. The city engineer has been, and the applicant have been in touch with the state EPD regarding the 25-foot buffer, and what EPD and the applicant have worked out would be using some existing piers on the deck. Would be okay with EPD if they can do that. They said that they can. So here's the addition and a new garage. This week, staff did receive a slightly different site plan that has the new garage sticking out into the front yard slightly more than this. it was a plan that this is what the applicant had submitted to staff, but to the EPD, they had submitted something very slightly different in the front. We just received that, haven't had time to review that. These are pictures, top left, the front of the house, the creek that is a perennial stream there, and then that deck. And so reviewing this, staff recommends approval of the variance request with the exhibits and conditions of approval. And the plans do propose a water quality trench that the city engineer has reviewed and is in approval of. That's all, Mayor.
Okay, great, thanks. All right.
Mayor,
Yes.
I would just reiterate
Sorry.
that staff has not had time to review. Staff has not had time to review the new plan, so tonight we are talking about the plans that were submitted.
Very good. Thank you, John. Appreciate that clarification. All right. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the variance request, please come up to the microphone, give us your name, address. Anybody? Anybody? Okay. Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the variance request? All right, that was quick. All right, next item on the agenda is PZ 2021-808, which is 4041 Claremont Road, which is Mercy Housing, Claremont, DCI.
Thank you, Mayor. So the applicant, James Alexander with Mercy Housing Southeast, has applied for this DCI with 13 variances and 1 waiver request for these 5 lots that are located on the east side of Claremont Road between 5th and 6th Street, across from Claremont Park. The property is in neighborhood commercial 2, NC2. Property is 2.8 acres. The proposed development calls for 67 apartment units and 55 and up age-restricted units, and in an affordable housing development that involves a financing mechanism through the DCA, the Low Income Housing Tax Credit, or LIHTC. So the applicant proposes to grade the site for this development. 3-story building for the 55 and up, a 4 to 5-story building for the 67 non-age restricted units. The applicants proposed a flexible, what they're calling a tech community room that would be available for rent to the public in the multi-family housing building at the corner of 5th Street and Claremont Road, and a child daycare would be open to the community at large in the senior housing building. Exterior building materials include some brick, fiber cement siding, and stucco, although do not meet there's a variance requested from the building architecture for building material, for exterior building materials. Applicant proposes to install the required streetscape along all frontages. Surface parking lot contain 138 parking spaces. There is no structured parking proposed for this development. Some exterior amenity and playground for on-site residents. The variances include retaining wall height in the front of the building at Claremont Road within 10 feet of the sidewalk to just over 3 feet. Supplemental zone height. Building materials such as allowing cementitious fiberboard lap siding, which isn't allowed on a building of 3 or more stories, reducing fenestration, not providing pedestrian walkways, the non-combustible materials regulation, publicly accessible open space, which the applicant has explained to staff is related to the LIHTC affordable housing mechanism. Reducing the minimum size of some units. Allowing residential uses on the ground floor within 100 feet of the street instead of retail or commercial space, which is required to be along all street frontages within 100 feet. To vary the balcony regulations, percentage of brick, reduce parking, and not provide interparcel connectivity, as well as a waiver to not bury existing above ground utilities, pulmonary utilities. So here are the lots. Mayor and council will be familiar with this property as it's come before mayor and council 3 times over the years.
That's all? I'm sorry. Sorry.
Major? Does. For townhomes, there are no valid existing entitlements for townhomes. Any townhome project would have to come back to mayor and city council because there is a sundown clause on DCIs and PUDs, the old definition of what a PUD was. It's different now, but you have 36 townhomes and 39 townhomes. There was actually in 2019 an LDP that was issued for this, and then it went defunct due to inactivity. There is some water that flows through a ditch sometimes on the largest lot at Catalina 6. It has been determined that there is not a stream that is a state water buffer on the property. Here's the survey. So the building in the plan top left or northwest would be the multifamily building, and then the building in the south is the age restricted one. Landscaping, floor plans, the community room shown on the ground floor at the intersection of Claremont and 5th Street on the left there. So this is facing 5th Street. Worth noting that there's not, there are residential units which a variance is required for, but there's also no pedestrian access from the units directly out to the public sidewalk. More elevations of the interior facing side. Lots of elevations. Pictures of the existing site. So staff reviewed this with the DCI criteria and variance and waiver criteria in the EDO, and recommends approval of the DCI with these conditions. A condition from the DRB is underlined and in bold. Worth noting that the one condition staff is recommending is the applicant conduct a warrant study for a signalized pedestrian crosswalk crossing Claremont Road with the park being over there. Staff did receive a report, school projection report from DeKalb County School System, which projected 32 students could contribute to the system. Approval of the following 8 variances. Denial of variances related to fiberboard lap siding, reducing the fenestration on the Boulevard Street, combustible materials, balconies, and percentage of brick on the exterior building facade, and a waiver to not bury the above-ground utilities. And that's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Great, thanks. John, do you have anything?
Do not.
Very good. We'll have 10 minutes for those wishing to speak in favor. Please come up to the microphone. Let us know who you are.
Hello, I'm James Alexander. I'm the president of Mercy Housing Southeast, and just wanted to kind of reintroduce the organization. We're a nonprofit that builds affordable housing and really supports the families and seniors who live in that housing. We've worked with the city of Chamblee before and have had a good partnership. The latest development we did was on Peachtree Road. It's the senior residences at Mercy Park. And for that one, we also worked with Smith Delia Architects, who designed this here. And that development won a number of awards. It's beautiful if you haven't seen it. So we do good work. And we're really just trying to provide a place for essential workers to be able to continue to live in Chamblee in a strong school district in particular, as well as seniors. And so I think, we've applied for tax credits, and it's a very competitive process. As staff mentioned, about 80% of the development is funded by tax credits. And so they set a lot of the rules for what happens for developments like this. And so some of the themes about why we're applying for these variances are, one, we're building affordable housing, and really keeping those rents low is really through keeping our costs low. So if it's an extremely expensive building, it's going to make it such that the rents will be higher than the state allows, and also higher than we're trying to keep them for residents. Also, the state really scrutinizes design choices and costs that are beyond their guidelines in this competitive process as well. And the state really can't pay for elements that are public or off-site improvements as well. So typically when we're in cities or jurisdictions building affordable housing, we'll typically ask the jurisdiction for funding as it relates to off-site improvements. The state really can't pay for that. And there's some real topographical challenges to the site, which was mentioned by staff as well. I think it was a good design review board meeting, and I think some of the elements we can incorporate. There are others that are going to be real feasibility challenges to the development. So I'd ask our architect to kind of speak to what some of those variances are that will particularly cause challenges, and less so those that were recommended for approval by staff. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So we have about another 7 minutes. Come on up.
My name is Kenneth Turner with Smith Daly Architects and Mercy Housing with our client. I wanted to talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts of a few of the variances that we're asking for, specifically variance number 3, the cementitious fiberboard lap siding. Part of the design is to break down the scale of the building, create variation along the facade, and we're using that with different materials, and we feel like fiberboard siding is a very strong material. It's durable, it's sustainable, and it breaks down the scale of the facade pretty well. The variance for the reduced fenestration along a boulevard, there are noise issues with Claremont Road, and because of that, we're required by the tax credit process to increase the sound attenuation of the glass, and so that makes it much more expensive to put glass on that facade. And just in general, for being able to put glazing in a unit to lay the unit out, it's difficult to get 65%. And the other part of it is we understand that this is important for the pedestrian experience, and because of that, we're varying the facade along the sidewalk, creating ins and outs, giving you tactile brick along the facade to kind of make up for the reduced amount of fenestration. The reduction of the variance to construct the building using non-combustible materials is a cost issue. The state requires, our building codes require certain building sizes based on the materials that they're built out of, and so we are proposing to build this out of wood, which they would call a type 5 construction. And that type 5 construction also determines what your exit distances are and how tall the building can be. And so we are well within those parameters as far as the building codes are concerned. And also we're going to be required to fire rate the walls between units and the structure. And so there will be a 1-hour rating on all the floors and all the walls that hold up the building. The variance to reduce the required percentage of brick, the tax credit application requires that we have 30% of brick on all facades. This is again another feasibility cost issue for us, and we will be providing 30% instead of the 60%. And then the last one that I want to talk about is the waiver to eliminate the undergrounding of communication utilities. That's also a cost issue. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? All right, very good. Anybody in the council want to move forward?
motion to exit.
Just yet.
All right. Motion to exit the public hearing portion of the meeting.
Second.
Very good. All those in favor? All right. So, again, my favorite thing right there. I can put the microphone on and make it really loud. All right, so we will call to order the public hearing. I know y'all been sitting on the edge of your seat just waiting for this to happen. We're here. Announcements, presentations, do not believe we have any. We don't see it in the agenda. Staff action items. We have city clerk. We have the approval of the minutes from the city council public hearing and work session May 13th. Anybody? No?
Motion to approve.
We have the approval of minutes of city council regular meeting May 18th. Any discussion?
Motion to approve.
Or no motion, or, here. Tell you what, man.
Everybody good?
Wait, hold on. Very good. We take care of that. All right.
Part of the meeting.
City manager, big star. Look at that, man. You missed last month, and then you just don't even come forward with anything this month. Yeah, I'm so proud of you. All right. Development department. Here we go. These items were heard just a few minutes ago. We're going to go through them again. We may have some new ones. The first one then is the Peachtree Road grapes and grain variances. Does council have any questions for the applicant and or the staff?
I have just one.
No, you go ahead first.
It's literally a technical thing. In your finalized kind of drawing of the front of the building, you've got the new glazed overhead door. Is that going to be going up and down, or is that fixed?
We'll need you to come up to the
Yeah,
microphone.
you can come up.
Sorry.
You talking about the entrance door?
No, the one that's off near the drive-in
The
delivery.
curbside?
Yeah,
curbside
yeah,
pickup?
the curbside part.
The garage door.
Yes, is that going to go up and down?
It goes up. It's a like a normal
Yeah,
rolling
normal
garage
door,
door.
okay.
It's in 4 or 5 glass. They're all glass for the entire front door.
But is that going to be down even when you're open, or is it going to be open?
It's an automatic door.
Okay.
So when there is an order, it comes in because they go around the back and come out through there.
Oh,
it will
okay,
come
okay.
up. So it will stay closed because it's climate controlled in the building.
Okay.
I have I guess it's a question. We had talked about possibly a mural on the front of your building. There's a lot of white, and especially with the removal of the windows.
Sure.
There's a lot of white, and I would definitely like to, if we
Yeah, I think what we want to do is create something that is aesthetically pleasing to the community. And if, obviously depending on cost and, what it looks like, and I would love it, as well. In fact, I would just say our current store, I think a couple of you may have been in there, inside wall is very much similar, and we had a vision, to do the same thing. So I'd be open to it. I need to, see what those designs, would look like, and we would do something that themes with, wine or, something that's connected with our store.
Yeah.
Or the community. A lot of times it might be something that's, a landmark related to the city and tying that in, because every one of our stores is intended to be, tagline's a neighborhood store, for wine and more, but we're community oriented. We'd like to bring in other businesses, as I've mentioned, they participate in our loyalty program, they do things like that, so if we can tie it into the community, I would love to do something like that.
Okay.
Cool. Other questions? Brian, everything? No. Great. All right, thank you. Appreciate you being here. All right, next item on the agenda is the 1868 Dyer Circle, which is our first of our trifecta of stream for variances. Any questions from the council?
I'm going to sound like an old lady lecturing you. The fence that is
Come on up.
now on your property, is that new as well?
It was a replacement from a prior fence. It had fallen apart, and we did get the permit for the fence.
Oh, you did get a permit?
We did.
Oh, okay. That's great. You needed a permit to build that deck with or without the stream buffer. So
right.
That's, knowing or not knowing that the stream buffer's there is kind of...
No, we were first-time homeowners, so we're definitely doing everything wrong in the entire process, and that's why we wanted to apologize.
I do feel like I'm lecturing you.
No.
I did just want to point that out. Otherwise, that's it.
We're learning the hard way, but yeah, sorry about that.
Anybody else care to lecture the applicant? No? Okay, very good. Ty, what you got?
I'm sorry to bother you. Is that the end of?
Yes, sir. That's it for yours will not come back. So now that we've done that, you can, everybody else. Usually when this part of the meeting's over, everybody just leaves anyway. And I remind everybody you can stick around and learn something or
You don't
not.
have me walk out.
No, that's okay, you can go.
Come on, we have fun.
We do, we have fun. Look, we're gonna try to get through this really soon so we can go visit your store. Hey, it wouldn't be a Chamblee City Council meeting without something alcohol being discussed.
Yes.
All right,
The mural needs to be on the wall.
the next item then, I lost track. We are at 3193 Clairwood Terrace, which is a setback variance. Anybody? No? Questions?
So, well, let me just get in here. So essentially what we're looking at is where the building is going to encroach into the setback. The 7.5 foot setback is going to be a 4.5 foot setback. There's not a house right next door to that part, is there?
No.
Okay, because that would be really cramped if there was. But,
Sure.
that's all I wanted to know.
Perfect.
Did you want to say something?
No, I'm okay, sorry. I thought that was the wrong.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah.
Would you like to lecture him?
Um,
Very good.
Thank you.
I'll save you the trouble. All right, next item then is the 3174 Chamblee Dunwoody Road, the streetscape variance. Any questions? Questions? Leslie?
I do have one, it's an aesthetic thing as far as, you're done, I'm not lecturing you anymore.
It's my turn now. I'm ready for it.
I have one, I'm looking at the picture where, the driveway that we're asking you to close with the bollards.
Yes, ma'am.
And that is so ugly. And I understand, none of this vegetation between you and the apartments that's not your property.
No, ma'am. It's
But
basically.
you have the little space, the green space on the other side.
Yeah. It's basically there's a metal grill for the apartment. No, there is a wooden grill for the apartment, and there is a metal grill for us. So in between, it's no man's land,
Yeah.
and it is just garbage out there. So I mean that is
would be-
something that I would prefer to get it out.
Yes.
And do some beautification out
Yes.
there and make it look more pretty.
That's
know,
a great idea.
yeah.
It looks like the little tree that's in the other green spot is on its last leg, so, yeah, there's some nice landscaping.
Yeah. And
This sidewalk was actually put in by the county, so they're the ones that didn't do it according to our.
Well, it was done a long time ago.
yeah. I mean,
Not that long. But so yeah, if you would do that, I think that would go a long way towards.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would definitely look into it.
Okay.
And whatever your choice of plans are, let me know. I'll put that one.
Don't ask her that.
Careful what you ask.
Exactly.
I got ideas.
You're gonna
Okay.
open Pandora's box. but-
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
sir.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
being
Thank you,
here.
ma'am.
All right, turn the page, as the song says, which, looking at 3640 Keswick Drive, stream buffer variance. Anybody? I'm waiting on you, Leslie, just to say no. Okay, there you go.
I've
All
got
right.
nothing.
That's- All right, next item is 4041 Claremont Road, which is the Mercy Housing, Claremont, DCI.
I have one question. And I forgot to ask you and the architect and you and I all met very nicely at the
Come on
at
up to the
site.
microphone, so you're gonna talk to you.
Is the daycare inside, is that like contracted to somebody else, or is that also a Mercy program? How does that function?
The idea is that it would be leased out to a third-party partner.
Okay.
We don't provide
Right.
daycare. We
Okay.
haven't identified who that is as of yet.
Mhm.
So if you have suggestions for partners in the community who can fulfill that need, we'd definitely be interested.
And
Don't go.
I do want to point out to the other folks on council that the power lines only run on along 5th Street. They don't run along Claremont, and they don't run along 6th Street.
Oh.
There's only a small portion of wires that are still up, and that's the part on 5th Street.
Okay, I'm looking at the picture of,
What's a site plan?
The site, I'm looking at one of the site plans, and this shows that there is a sidewalk that goes between two buildings, from Claremont Road sidewalk all the way through the building.
You're talking about the one mid-block that goes between the two buildings?
Right here.
From
This
Claremont?
one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got it pulled up.
But then I'm looking at the elevations and I don't see it, so,
It should show up in the problem with the elevations is that it's a series of the family building, and then it's a series of the senior building. So
Okay.
there's not really one that
Okay.
shows the whole thing,
Okay.
so you don't see that slot in there.
yes.
But
All
there,
right.
there will be
So
one.
that does, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that was it for me.
Any other questions, comments? No? Okay, thank you. I will say, not for y'all, I'm going to direct this to the staff. There have been lots of conversations about pedestrian crossings on Claremont Road. I appreciate that staff suggests that we have a look into that, but that's a dangerous stretch of road. I mean,
Well, 45 miles an hour.
we've had cars upside down there on multiple occasions right in that area. So I just said, we've looked at it, people have wanted it. I just caution that as y'all look at it going forward. I wouldn't walk across the street there. All right, thank you. Appreciate y'all being here.
Thank you.
We have police department and Parks and Rec get big stars, nothing going. F for finance, I guess we have to talk about mid-year budget amendments.
And everybody's favorite topic, budget amendments.
Budget amendments.
So we just have a few this evening, the first of which is, and we talked about this a couple months ago in regards to the 2019 URA bond and the debt service related to that. We have to allocate some funds in this year to pay the first debt service payment for the URA 2021 bond. That's due in February. The way that works is we set up a monthly transfer into that fund from our general fund into the URA fund to pay that $523,000 in February. So that'll start this year, and then we'll pay the remaining of it in 2022, and you'll see that kind of throughout the year. It'll be budgeted in each fiscal year. The next one we have is, I believe back in April, we were asked to allocate some funds in the hotel motel fund for additional murals that I think are going across various locations in the city. So this is just to go ahead and allocate that under professional services. We did not budget any expenditures in that fund this year that were outside of the required funds, required expenditures rather, to Discover DeKalb into the city's general fund. So there is no use of fund balance to cover that expense. We also have a allocation for site improvements to bury a power pole in the utilities fund. I believe this is related to the SLX project from a few years ago. We did not budget any expenditures in this, so it would be coming out of previous fund balance. And then the last one we have is a $8,625 increase to expenditures in the general fund to cover fireworks. For 2022, we have to put some money down to move the deposit to 2022. So this is unbudgeted for this year, but we'll have the fireworks next year. And I believe that's it.
Very cool. All right, thank you. Is there any questions from the council?
That's the total cost, or that's just the down payment?
It's just the cost to move it to next year. Yeah, they essentially, I believe, administer an administration fee.
Okay.
And if we don't pay it, we lose our spot.
Right. Okay, thank you.
We don't want
We don't want to lose our spot. No. I've already caught all sorts of grief about us not doing fireworks this year. I don't know if y'all have, but I have. Public Works, Big Star, Economic Development, Chamblee Nonprofit Support Program. I'm so glad we have so many people here now. Yeah.
I know, the pressure is on, right? Mayor and council, back in March, at the last city council regular meeting, we brought to the table a proposal for a $150,000 budget to support nonprofit events in Chamblee that will increase patronage of local businesses. Staff is proposing a nonprofit partnership that also provides complimentary staff support and connects the nonprofit community with the city. And with that, just a little overview of our nonprofits. We have over 40 nonprofits registered in the city of Chamblee. Over 12 of those are really significant to our residents. 20 plus of those are really outside of the city of Chamblee, but still really benefit our residents. And we have all types of nonprofits, from child care services to multicultural preservation, healthcare, and I know a lot of you are really familiar with them. So COVID has impacted everything and everyone, specifically our nonprofits. They've really seen the same types of things that we've seen in the city, including budget cuts, discontinuation of programs, reduction in staff, and pivoting of services, all while still providing services for our community. So we've seen a lot of drive-through food drives, we've seen testing and vaccination sites, we've seen back-to-school supply giveaways while they're still going through the same things we are. They also go through everyday challenges. So these challenges are just commonly known for our nonprofits. So they have a challenge in retaining business and community support, funding, networking opportunities, public awareness, and volunteers. So this program, we really want to come together and collectively work for our nonprofits. So what that basically means is that we want to help our nonprofits provide enhanced services, facilitate some new collaborations, build and maintain relationships with the city, and also assist with volunteer recruitment. So what is the nonprofit partnership? What that is really the city providing networking opportunities in the form of different roundtables throughout the year. These roundtables will allow the nonprofits to really collaborate with one another, share ideas, and just be able to facilitate different conversations. We will also offer some training sessions. These training sessions will really facilitate the longevity of the nonprofits. And this will include topics about marketing and communications, grant writing, fundraising and development, and more. We'll also share information from local partners. For example, if the Chamber does another nonprofit roundtable, we'll share that information and any other training opportunities. Also, we want to provide community updates. So this will give us a chance to share information with our nonprofits. So we'll sit in on the roundtables, give them updates of what's going on in the city, and we will also send out emails to a distribution list. We will create a formal city partnership, and this is where the sponsorship program comes in. So any nonprofit that's looking to host an event in the city can apply for this sponsorship, and the funds that we provide for them have to be spent at a Chamblee business. This is really to support our nonprofits and our small businesses at the same time. And one of the major things with this program as well is volunteer recruitment. So we will use a software called signup.com, and signup.com is an online portal where nonprofits will be allowed to post their different opportunities and really recruit volunteers that way. And of course, share their information on our social media pages. How are we going to measure our success? We really want to measure our success by judging the vitality of our nonprofits. We want them to succeed. We want them to utilize our signup.com account. We'll be able to judge if they're really interested in this program based upon that. We will also require an event summary from our nonprofits that apply for the sponsorships, and it would really help us judge, is this working, is it not, what do we need to do to make these changes, and also mapping of the community served. Next steps. What we really want to get from this meeting today is your feedback. So any feedback you give to us today, we'll go back and revamp the program and add it into the agenda for the July council retreat. Once we do that, we'll give the presentation at the council retreat, and then we will bring it back to council in July for adoption. And That's all.
Very good. So, feedback?
I would just add that,
Sorry.
the feedback can be provided over the course of the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna put us all on the spot right now.
Yeah.
I'll give you some feedback right now. I think it's phenomenal. Thank you for bringing this forward to us. Really, something that I think we've all recognized and has never been lost on me, the sheer number of not-for-profits that we have located in the city. I mean, for being a smaller city, we have a ton of them, and the services they provide to our community are incredible. I even thought I pitched to the chamber at one time, back when it was a business association, that they have something that was related to the auto dealer, something that was related to the restaurant, something then non-for-profits. I don't know that they ever got to that point. I don't even know if we still have a chamber that operates in this city. But regardless, I think it's great that the city's taking this on. Thank you for bringing it to our attention, and anything we can do to help support them, I think is incredible.
Yes, we're really excited about the program. We started bringing it up to some of our nonprofits, and they got really excited about
Good.
it as well. So it's just really an opportunity for all of us to come together and collaborate. So I also want to thank Brian Mott for bringing this on the agenda back in March.
Yep.
So if we get this done by July, when can we start expecting July checks?
Absolutely. We can start posting the information in July and having our first meeting around that July-August time frame, but we can go ahead and start promoting the whole program as well as the event sponsorship opportunities in July.
So you need Mayor Clarkson on July the 25th in the office to
Start writing checks out of your bank account. all I need is your account number, your routing number, your social security number. Let's see, what else do I need? And date of birth, address, and then I'll get you some type of an email from somewhere in Africa telling you how much money you have left in your account.
Mother's maiden name.
And all your passwords. Now, Brian, this is such a great idea, and thank you, staff, for the hard work you did in putting all this together. Like I said, I think it's great you use the word collaboration. I think that's what I'm sure Brian is looking for, and the fact that y'all have done such a great job with just to this point. I think continue to work with the non-for-profits is going to be great.
I agree, but I would like to have a copy of this. This is not in our agenda. So
Absolutely.
Of your presentation, if you could
Okay.
email that to me so I could
Absolutely.
study a little bit better. And I might have feedback. I might have to lecture you. I don't know.
I'll take the lecture.
Yeah,
You always get the lessons out of the
that
lecture.
starts to get dicey. But thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
you. Done a
you.
great job so far. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you.
And Brian, thank you again for bringing that forward. Boards, authorities, committees. Everybody was bored. They left.
Yeah, seriously.
And apparently nobody had the authority to keep them here. City attorney, I don't believe anything moved forward, did it, Emmy? We didn't anything move forward tonight, so there will be no first reads. Joe will just get to roll straight into second reads, which is a UDO amendment about nuisances, which basically is mayor and council, right, or all the nuisances. And then we have number 3 under there. We have exchange of abandoned right-of-way at Catalina Drive and Coronado Place for property of equal or greater value currently owned by NCP Funding, either I or One Holdings LLC.
Mayor and council, you have at your station there a document that provides information on the appraisal of the land that is being provided by the city and the land that would be provided back to the city from the developer. Joe may address this again on Tuesday, but I wanted to make sure you were aware of that document.
Thank you. If you have trouble holding that door open a little bit later, we can just use this. Stick it in there.
I can read it, or
Yeah.
What can you make out of this? Like make a hat or a brooch or a tear.
Subtitles only.
All right. Any discussion on this? We will expect you to have read it, write a a thesis paper on it, and whatever else is academically important, which I don't understand all that stuff anyway. I barely made out of college. All right, big stars, except Councilwoman Lupton. She'd like to give away traffic calming devices.
I do. I just right, left, and center.
We're just going to take it out of your bank account.
Hello. Yeah, that's right. Hi. This, and I mean, I have not talked in great detail with Leslie about this or with John Mesa. Brian and I talked a little bit about it. What I understand, and Walker and I talked about it a lot. What I understand the traffic calming annual fee to be is a fee that's assessed on streets that eventually have some sort of traffic calming device put on them. There's a process that we need to go through, that they need to go through, and that we go through when traffic calming devices are put on a street. The annual fee is $25 per person who lives on the street. I believe, Walker, you said that we get about $5,000 a year.
That's correct.
Okay, from that. But that does not begin to pay for the installation of these traffic calming devices or the maintenance of traffic calming devices. I therefore kind of think that we're all paying for it anyway. I mean, that's if the $25 that we're assessing a year is a drop in the bucket, if we have to maintain and we have to put these things up, that money's coming from somewhere, and it's coming from us anyway. I think it's kind of there is a process, like I said, that people have to go through. They've got to go through getting the signatures with your neighbors to even get a traffic study. Then you got to get more signatures to get it installed once there's a study done that shows what needs to be done. Now Walker explained to me the expenses that go into us doing a traffic study. He said what's about $1,000 if we do like a full traffic study.
Depending on the amount of area that's being reviewed.
Okay. I don't know if we want to, because that's a study that looks at all traffic calming things, not just speed bumps or something like that. In order to cut costs on that, I would suggest that perhaps we shrink the scope of what we study for. We just study for speed bumps or something like that. I don't know if that's viable or not. That's my cost saving thought. But definitely, and plus there are physical limitations on a road for a study. It has to be such and such feet long. It can't have this kind of curve of any more of this degree. It can't have a pitch of any more of this. There are physical restrictions to roads. So I think between the hurdles of people having to get involved to do these things and go through rounds of paperwork and getting signatures signed, plus, you know, just the physical limitations of a road. I don't think there's going to be a rush on traffic studies, and I don't think that the $25 fee is it's not prohibitive, but it's just like, oh, now we got to pay this. It's a nickel and dime sort of thing that I don't get a good feeling about it. I think it shows more goodwill because it's not such a big ticket. It's not fulfilling the budgetary needs of plugging that hole in our budget. It's like kind of spare change in the couch at the end of the day. That's my thoughts.
So you'd like to charge more? You're saying it's not covering it. I didn't get
I'm looking for suggestions.
I didn't get that it was elimination. No, I'm teasing you, Karen.
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from. Did Brian or Leslie anything to add to that?
No, I've heard when we got the traffic calming on Longview, which was not put in by the city, it was put in by the county. I heard the complaint, and you know, $25. Are you kidding me? We gotta pay this too. But I don't even know if I see no evidence that DeKalb County ever collected that. You get your tax bill and it's not there. So it's weird.
Well, hold on a second. John, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah.
I would say it was collected on several properties, and we did actually receive those funds from DeKalb County.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
So my question is, was it because there was a big portion of that area that was unincorporated? It was not in the city. Would they have not had the opportunity when they did put them in the city to bill city residents at the time that were, you know, in the incorporated area?
The way the CAB's program works is similar to ours. If you live if you from your house can get on the road and get out of your subdivision without crossing a speed hump, you were not charged.
Right. And no, I understand that, John. I'm saying that so under what authority or do they have to install? But again, we're talking about a neighborhood that was just recently annexed. Now, Leslie's house was always in the city, but it wasn't too far from her house that was the border where the annexation took place. Most of this traffic calming was done in unincorporated DeKalb when it was unincorporated. That's why it didn't go through the city.
Correct.
Otherwise, it would have gone through the city.
Right.
Because we had taken over control of the roads by that time anyway. So would they have not had the authority to tax somebody that was in the city?
That's a good question. I'm not.
I just wonder if that might be
sure.
why you never saw it on your tax bill. That's just a question.
That's a good
I just put that out
question.
there. I'll add this. It's something, Karen, we've had this isn't the first time this conversation's come up. There's no original idea out there really anywhere in the world, right? Philosophically
Thank you, I appreciate
speaking.
that.
But no, the thing that I had always felt and agreed with and been told is it requires those folks that are asking for something above and beyond to have some skin in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually talked about at one point making the fee higher to offset the cost of, because everybody is paying for it in essence, and folks that maybe not be as well organized and may need them just as bad in another neighborhood are offsetting the cost for people that are. So we had that debate, and that council at the time determined that at least you had a little skin in the game, which meant, yeah, I really want to go through this process. And you might complain about it. It may keep you from voting for it, right? Then you didn't really want them that bad in the first place. But hey, if it's not going to cost me anything and I got to drive over a speed bump once in a while, so be it. Go ahead and put them in. That was the reason that I was told. I don't know that I have a position. I understand where you're coming from. I've just heard all sides of it.
Yeah.
So that would be my concern, is that all of a sudden you've just got a bunch of folks that don't feel like they have any skin in the game, and you're going to see a proliferation of requests for traffic calming everywhere.
I think that the hoops that they would have to jump through to get them would be prohibitive enough that we wouldn't see that proliferation.
What's left on home do
I mean, it could be.
Yeah,
I don't know.
To me,
I
I
don't know.
see
There's
the
a-
skin in the game as the people who are organizing it, like what needs to be done anyway. That's the.
Well, they
that's
got to
the
get
hard
people.
part.
Yeah, they got to get people to vote for it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
And some people, to Leslie's point, are going to complain about $25, and they're not going to vote for it.
Right.
So they didn't really want them that bad. I just think that just makes it that much. That's all I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing with your point on it. It's a nominal fee, but to some folks, $25 is $25, and they're like, hey, it still amazes me that people complain about our sanitation anyway whatsoever when you drag a dead body to the street for $260-some a year. I mean,
Is
give
that
me a
right?
break. Yeah, that's being recorded. Because I know, because I heard, anyway. So that's just it. That's what's been discussed in the past. If y'all take it off, you take it off. You'll see what happens. I don't know. But it is a nominal fee.
So tax bills are already in the process for this year, so this would be something going forward next year.
And how would it affect people that already have it on the bill? Would it come off? Or is
It would
it
come off. If it were eliminated, then next year it would come off.
Okay.
Not this year, but next
Right.
year.
Right.
2020.
Right, next year. And we would, I'm like I said, I'm open to discussion about if we need to lessen the scope of what we are available to do, or to bring down the cost of what we do on a study. You know what I mean? But gosh, what was the price tag for the?
I would guess that's a traffic engineer call. It's not for us.
Oh, okay.
It's not for us
Okay.
to decide. I love to pretend like I'm a traffic engineer. I could have fixed half the intersections across Metro Atlanta.
I know.
But there's all sorts of
Yes.
big words
Mhm.
that go into criteria.
Okay.
That go into determining, like you pointed out many of them.
Yeah.
Right? You're getting a grasp of this very well, and has to do with curb cuts and distance to the corner and all sorts of different
there's
things.
all sorts of different rules.
So there's different spacing. You can't have it within a certain distance of a stop sign. You can't have it a certain grade hill. All those things. I don't know that you can lessen the scope. I don't know, John, if you have something to add to that.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really lessen the scope. I mean, it's really looking at traffic patterns and speed and like you said, many of those other factors. I think we could look at what the cost has been over the last 3 years and kind of come up with a number. And then, if you wanted to consider a nominal 10%, 20% of that average as an application fee or something like that, we could do that.
All right.
So I don't know what to do now. This is the first time I've had anything on the agenda, so I don't.
Nothing else to do.
Oh my gosh,
Brian, that was awesome. So
Where's my flowers?
Let me help you out. We all give you a standing ovation, tell you your idea is stupid,
Yeah.
we leave.
I just literally. don't
It
know
will
what to
stay
do.
on the agenda
Yeah.
unless you have been shamed into taking
Okay.
it off,
No.
which it does not appear that
No.
you have. And then you can bring it up on Tuesday evening
Okay.
with a motion directing staff to do something
do
that then
something
the
wrong.
council may or may not agree with.
Right, okay.
You know, and I've
that's
actually
my
seen a
next
council member make a motion and then vote against their own motion after discussion. So, I mean, anything can happen. That is a true story. Anything can happen.
And people say city government is boring.
It is
Come on.
not, well, I mean, look at all those people out there. They're so
I know,
excited.
they're packing the rack.
All right, very good. All right, we done with that, Lupton?
Yes, we are.
Good. All right, Councilmember Mock had texted me earlier today that Prospera is not prepared, so we'll be punting that. That'll just come off the agenda for Tuesday evening, and we will punt them to when they're ready to come back. All right, we'll welcome them with open arms. Citizen comment. I mean, we are all citizens of somewhere, but anybody have something to say, come to the microphone, tell us who you are, your name, where you live, what's on your mind. Yep, nope, nobody out there. All right, do we have an executive session this evening?
We do have an executive session to discuss personnel, legal, and potential land.
All right. So we will need a motion to go into executive session.
Adjourn to a executive session for, talk about all of them.
Don't, you gotta say them.
Okay, to talk about a real estate matter, a legal matter, and a land.
Personal.
And a
Personnel.
personnel matter.
Personal matter. All right, very good. That was a great
That's the
motion.
movement.
Second.
Second.
Very good. We have motion second to go into executive session to discuss personnel, real estate, and legal issues. All those in favor? That passed unanimously. So we will be in executive session. We will reopen the meeting for all the public to come back into the meeting at the end of the meeting.
You do have another one.
Oh, we can just leave. Well, let's